What up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith. Welcome to the Nerdy Narrative, a channel where I talk about all of the things that I read. Today is Friday, September 2nd. We have started a new month. I know a lot of you, like me, are really excited to start a new month with all of the options we have put on our TBR for ourselves to read. So let's talk about all of the things that I've been reading this week. And you never know, one of these might just interest you enough to be your next read. Before we get into the books, I do want to say a huge thank you, as always, to the patrons of the Nerdy Narrative channel. The support you all provide each month completely covers the cost of running this channel. So a huge, heartfelt thanks from me to you for that. To those of you who are subscribed to the channel, watching the videos, liking, joining in the conversation in the comments, huge thank you to you. The patrons may be the backbone, but you are the heart of this channel, and I am so grateful to have you here. Since I last updated you, I did complete No Land for Heroes by Cal Black. Let's see, how to describe my feelings for this book. This book was amazing. It definitely cemented that I love Western fantasy. I was first introduced to the Western fantasy subgenre when I read Where Blood Runs Gold by A.C. Cross for SPFBO. Loved it and I wanted more. That led me to No Land for Heroes by Cal Black. I'm also very excited to have found out from both authors they do have sequels on the way. I cannot wait. I want more from both of the settings that their stories took place in. So know that you're going to hear more from me in the coming months about both of these authors, as well as some other fantasy westerns I plan on picking up. Luckily for me, my friend Andrew from Andrew's Wizardly Reads, he has already been hooked into this subgenre. He's read several books and he's recommended me a few that I plan on picking up, so I am so excited. As far as my progress through the manga series DeathNote, I did complete volume 6. I did enjoy it. There was a very interesting twist on who had control of the Death Note and who really had control of the Death Note, which led to Light Yagami and Detective L working as a team, which was a really fun dynamic to watch. The way that volume 6 ended, it seems to me that volume 7 is going to return to the same narrative style as the first 5. And I hope that is not the case, because I'm afraid at this point, if that's what happens, I am going to be really bored with the story and it might be in danger of becoming a DNF again. Oh, my friends, let me just tell you about this book. Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. I could not put this book down once I started it. I read it in 2 days. It was amazing. Now, I have to say, if you are a fan of audiobooks, or if you're just a sometimes audiobook listener, this one is so much better as an audiobook. You guys know I'm an immersion reader, but I also use the audiobooks for those times where I'm not able to read physically. I love this narrator. Adam Lazar White was amazing, and I already looked up and found out that the next book I plan to read by S.A. Cosby, which is Blacktop Wasteland, Adam is the narrator for that one too. If this author continues to write these Southern style books, Adam is the best Southern narrator I've ever heard. He just made these characters. I don't think I would have been as emotionally invested or inspired if it had not been for Adam's voice, what he did with it, and this story. It's the story of two fathers, Ike Randolph, who is a black man, and Buddy Lee Jenkins, who is a white man. Prior to where this story begins, the only thing Buddy Lee and Ike Randolph had in common was the fact that they had both served time in prison. The second thing that they have in common is where our story picks up, and that is the brutal murder of both of their sons, who happen to be married to one another, and they have a small child named Ariana. The police tell them they just keep hitting dead ends, no one wants to talk to them, so Buddy Lee convinces Ike that they need to take matters into their own hands and find out what happened to their sons. This is a huge undertaking that is fueled by revenge, but also regret, because both of these men never fully accepted the fact that their sons were gay, and they're having to come to terms with the fact that they did not reconcile with their children before they died. It's absolutely going to wreak havoc on your emotions. Here's a heads up from experience. Don't let yourself get disappointed that you figure out what's going on 20 chapters in, because that's not what this story is about. This story is about learning to accept people for who they are. just because they are different from you, whether they believe something different, whether they have a different lifestyle, that is who they are. And who they are should not be a death sentence. It should not be an invitation to judge, demean, or belittle. It does not hurt one's soul to let someone else be who they want to be. I would also say go ahead and have a Kleenex or two handy. This book is non-stop action. The characters are so engaging and interesting. The author handles so many sensitive topics with just absolute grace. This is one of the best books I've ever read, and I cannot wait to reread it, see what I learned the second time that I read it. This one was the Wine and Crime book club pick for the month of August. It's my favorite pick that the book club has done to date, and we did have a live show discussing this book on Saturday, August 27th. I'll put it up in the cards and down in the description box below. I was joined by Lauren from Paperback Empire and Anitha Gade, so if you would like to hear more about what we thought, I do start the live stream off with a little non-spoiler summary, and then I ask everyone in the chat to give their ratings. So if you would like to see what the group as a whole thought of this book, go ahead and check out that live stream and see if this one is one you might want to pick up. I also picked up The Grimm by K.H. Nelson, which is the first book in the Requiem, or is it Requiem? Y'all have to tell me down in the comments which one's right. I call it Requiem, but I think it's Requiem. This is the story of a half-elf named Solon de Diago. Woo, that was hard to say out loud. I thought I had that practice well enough in my mind that I was going to be able to roll it off the tongue. Yeah, I failed. There are a lot of interesting things about Solon, including the fact that he's half-elf, but also that he holds a dark power known as the Grimm, which means he cannot die. He's also the son of a powerful duke who starts this whole genocide just to get rid of his bastard son. You can probably guess there's definitely more to that story, which you do find out as you read it. Now, this one gave me a lot of trouble because I did not like any of the characters, and I did not love to hate any of these characters either. There was a lot of use of foreign language. And I don't mean foreign language as in one we know, because I was hitting Google Translate just to make sure I couldn't get that translated to find out what it was. Some of the words were definitely titles. It seemed similar to Spanish. I was able to figure out when it was talking about an unmarried woman versus a married woman. Some of the words were used alone, and I was, for the most part, able to use context clues to sort of figure it out. And then there were times I would write a whole sentence in that language, but then that would be translated. That got distracting because it happened so often that it was pulling me out, and I didn't like it. It was too much for me personally. And then there were some things that were just happening so fast in the story where I had not gotten a good grip on the characters and their morals that it really made me not like the characters. So this one wasn't for me, but it might be for you. For this one, as well as all the others that I've mentioned that I finished, I do have written reviews for on my website, which I'll link down below if you want to get a little more information about each. And now let's move into what am I currently reading. So first, let's talk about The Sadeiest by Austrian Spencer, which after I found out what a sadist is, I might be pronouncing it wrong. It's the combination of a sadist and a poltergeist. Becoming a Sadeiest is their chance at redemption. Their job is to help souls leave their body. When death is imminent, the soul has a tendency to hang on, to fight. They're afraid. The Sadeiest enters that body and helps that soul let go. They die in place of that soul, so the soul is able to let go, to not be afraid anymore. Each time a Sadeist sacrifices themselves for another soul, a little bit of their accumulated sin is removed. As far as what happens to a Sadeist once they've removed all of that accumulated sin, I have no idea because I'm only about a third of the way through. I hope to read a big chunk of it today. There was a very interesting element just introduced here. I am so excited to see where this is going to go and what the author is going to do with this story. I do need to stop and mention right now, real quick, I posted on Instagram when I started reading this one. A lot of people tried to order it and found that it was out of print. There's going to be a new edition printed with some added material, plus a new cover by artist Daniel Serra, which I cannot wait to see what they're going to create for this series. I love this cover. Y'all take a good look at it. That's an amazing cover. So I'm glad that I have a copy of it, but I can't wait to see what Daniel Serra is going to do. Of course, I'm going to have one in my collection. And very soon, there will also be book 2, which is called The Masochist, I believe. I'm in. I'm already in. And then the other book that I started, I went back to my home in the skies. I started the second book in the Risen Kingdom series, A Labyrinth of Scions and Sorcery. Curtis Craddock has just created some of the most clever characters. I cannot get over how intelligently written this series is. In this installment of the series, our beloved Isabel has found herself completely cut out of her noble status. Of course, with Isabel, you have the return of the King's Own Musketeer, my beloved, my favorite, my heart, John Claude. John Claude has once again found himself in the midst of something crazy. It is off to a fantastic start. I'm only about 130 pages in so far. I'm savoring. I cannot read these books fast because I have to savor every moment. Plus, I'm trying to pay very close attention to see if I can figure out what's going on. I haven't yet. I probably won't. I'm not that clever. So that will cover everything I've finished, what I'm currently working on, what will I read next. I will be continuing my journey in the DeathNote manga series with Volume 7. If Volume 7 does not have something change with this narrative, I need something different besides just the cat and mouse of Elle and Light trying to outsmart each other. I've had enough of that. Give me something else to work with to keep me engaged, because while I love to read about the battle of will and wit, I've had enough. Let's move on. Let's find something else. And then as far as my next book, I will be reading Quiet Thunder by J.P. Harker. This one is set in the same world as the Caledon Saga, but is completely separate from that series. So if you have not read the Caledon Saga, or if you haven't finished it like me, you're going to be just fine reading this one. And I just had to have it. I love Wildcat. I've read Wildcat 2.5 times. I have this problem completing series, but maybe being back in this world will reawaken the desire to get back to the Caledon Saga, because I love the world. I know I'm going to enjoy the rest of the series. Y'all help me. Keep me accountable. Keep asking me, hey Leslie, so when are you going to read the next book in the Caledon Saga? I would greatly appreciate that. That will wrap up everything that I have been reading recently. I'm so excited for September because I will be getting started on my SPSFC reads, which is the self-published science fiction competition that I am a judge for. I will be on Team Book Invasion. A lot of y'all here probably already know Scott, but I will have his channel along with all the other booktubers on my team linked in the description box down below if you would like to keep up with our progress as we go through this competition. For those of you here in the US, we've got a nice long holiday weekend. I hope you're able to slot a little extra reading time in here and there. Have a wonderful, safe weekend, and I'll see you in the next one.